My grandfather, my grandmother, they're my inspiration. Everything that we are as a family, what I am as a person, all this resilience that everyone says I have is because of I've seen them literally, you know, like having to raise a massive family with no money, and I never seen them cry or complain about it. No, not even once. It was a weird time. Exciting, of course, you know. You meet someone, I wouldn't say I was crazy in love. I was like, oh my God, someone from abroad. Brazil, we have this feeling, someone living abroad. Oh my God, how cool, how amazing it is, London. It was really bad. Basically, when I managed to get out, of course, I didn't have a place to go. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know where I was in London, really. I didn't know how to take a train station. And then, yes, I saw myself in even worse circumstances where I saw myself literally having to sleep a couple of nights outside and, you know, having to eat from where I didn't want to eat from. But you know what? I still somehow, with the pride, with the whole, I don't know, what am I doing here? And everything, I was just like, I just felt at the time, generally speaking, sounds like a little bit of a, come on. I just felt that I had to carry on trying. I had to do it. You know, it was not time yet to give up.
Today's story is going to be told in two parts. It is a story of survival, of grit and determination, and the reliance on a handful of very kind people. So today I want you to meet Wally. So Wally, your story starts all the way back in your homeland in Brazil, a young boy being raised on a farm by your grandparents, had a lot to do with the farm. A very humble beginning. Give us an idea of where you come from.
Yes, I come from a very small town back in Brazil, my state, which started like at 6 families in a farm. I like farmers. And then, of course, when I was born, it was already a city. And then, you know, it's still very, very humble beginnings. As I said, my family always, like my grandparents always they gave these examples to us. Probably mention them a lot because they are my biggest inspirations. I think where I am today is because of them. First time we met, that's what I wanted to mention to you as well. And yes, always working a lot, seeing my mom working, my grandparents and my uncles and aunties, but also very positive, enjoying life always. You know, no matter how difficult things were, we always had our food on the table. If not that we couldn't buy, we always had because we had the plantations and all of those things. We raising our own things. Playing with the pigs in the morning, and then, you know, when they're in the afternoon, we are all celebrating and eating together, trying to make the difficult parts of it as positive as possible. Yeah. That's what's one thing that I always say, and probably will mention a lot as well. And I learned from my family, from my mom, my grandparents and uncles, no matter how difficult it is, cry, get upset, be human, get frustrated, pick the pieces up, move on. And just don't sit and wait.
And that's the message we want to, that runs all the way through your story. Yeah. So let me kind of like put things in the picture. Young man who suddenly falls in love very spontaneously, meets somebody. But the important part here is that you relied very heavily on the gut feeling of your mother. And she'd been right about so many things during your childhood and growing up. And when you came to her, having met this person who you had this whirlwind romance with, she said when you offered this information, go, do it. She gave you the blessing. And that was to just pick up and go on an adventure with this man and go to the UK. Live and work over there. You've never been abroad at that point?
No.
Never left the country?
Never thought I would ever. I mean, for me to change cities was a challenge, which was 45 kilometers.
Exactly. So that was a very, very exciting time for you, I would think.
It was a weird time. Exciting, of course, you know. You meet someone, I wouldn't say I was crazy in love. I was like, oh my God, someone from abroad. Brazil, we have this feeling someone living abroad. Oh my God, how cool, how amazing it is, London. And then when you see in a very short period of time, this person shows a lot of affection to you, a lot of, wants to be with you and everything else. And of course, my mom is my best friend. We are always been very open since I'm very little. That's how I was raised. That's how we are. And then, yes, everything was happening too fast. And as I mentioned before, I never thought I would even live in a different city. It was 45 kilometers. Sometimes I would drive to work there every day just to have lunch with my mom and my grandparents and things like that. That's how difficult for me was to even be away from my family. And then I saw myself with this invitation to go to live abroad. And I mentioned that to my mom, of course. And my mom, I say that my mom has a sixth sense because since I'm very young, I'm already liking the parties, the events. She was always say, do not let me having to go and pick you up or drunk or crazy in responsibilities. And she never really said no. She always trusted me. And then the time she said no, when I insisted to go or I did something, trust me, and it's not an exaggeration, that is not a single time that is gone right. Not just for me, even for my family,
Yeah.
Today I believe in many different things. I believe in faith. I grew up in a very religious family. That time I was very religious. But today is more faith. Whatever is good, kind, it's what I like and what I believe. But what happened is, I mentioned to her, and then she said, yes, go. You have a ticket back. And then literally I just looked at her thinking that she would say, absolutely no, you're not going. Even to change cities so close, she was making it like a difficult situation. Not difficult. She didn't want to.
Yeah.
And yes, and there I went.
And she gave you the blessing.
Yes.
And you went.
Well, I don't think I thought a lot, It's just my mom and I, that relationship just made us feel that comfortable and that trust that I don't think me and her, we're actually thinking. That's what I believe anyways. I just think she said, go. And doesn't work, we see how it goes. Then I saw myself in a very short period of time with a good job for a boy of my age at that time, like doing okay. Then I quit my job, sold whatever I had, gave up the apartment. I was on an airplane to UK. Can't explain, can't remember how that happens, how fast that was, can't even give you a timeline, but yes, that's how here I am, I guess.
So from something very, very exciting to a degree, an adventure, you didn't know what was on the horizon, and you arrive in the UK, and all of a sudden it starts going sour. Things get bad.
Yes, it was not what was not proposed, what I expected or what I pictured based on this relationship that, again, how come I just accepted and I met a person within very short period of time, I decided to go. But I guess the expectations and the trust was completely different what I had in mind. But anyways, yes, it was difficult, very difficult, completely different. That was what expected, or let's say promised.
So you felt very trapped in this relationship, and you needed a way out.
Yeah.
But a way out for you, living in the UK, as an illegal, if you like, you weren't registered at the time, were you? Was a very, very difficult thing for you to do. But you packed your bag and you saw an opportunity and you ran. Tell us a bit about that journey.
Yes, the thing is, when I got there, and it wasn't what it was, because first I didn't get much answers. Of course, it was a Brazilian person, speaking Portuguese, but the person wasn't really telling much. But also, I don't know, somehow I had a blocker in my head. I could have just asked or tried, but at the time I just felt like completely powerless, I would say a little bit. What do I do now? I left. People said, don't leave Brazil. Why are you going? But all I had in my mom said to come, and now I'm here. The pride, you don't want to go back. You don't want to be, people told you, cannot do that now. So I saw myself trapped. I didn't see myself even trying for solutions. So I kind of lived it in a way that I was enjoying it or accepting it until I could get out of it, okay? Because yes, I was honest, the person was still making certain promises that, okay, yes, you can go, or etc. But that was not the reality, until I could actually get out of the place and then start life where things sometimes got good, but most of it at that time was terrible until picked up again.
So let's talk about the terrible, because when somebody is at the lowest of the low, and you most certainly were, you had no opportunities, very little, if any, money, no way to eat, the pride of having to, you know, give a phone call to mum and say, bring me back home, and like everybody say, I told you so, kept you kind of like in there thinking, no, I'm going to make something of this. I'm here now. But it was really bad, Wally. You had nowhere to go.
Yes, it was really bad. Basically, when I managed to get out, of course, I didn't have a place to go. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know where I was in London, really. I didn't know how to take a train station. I genuinely, even though we do have to be in school back in Brazil there for 10 years, you live without even barely understand when someone speaks hi back to you, no? But, you know, I always believe that I'm always moved by some powerful force. At that time, as I was religious, you know, I was all very religious, and I was all the time thinking that's this power, okay, you can do this, you can do this, but I couldn't really take much actions. But then when I managed to get out, I did say, I need to ask for help. Where do I ask for help? To Brazilians. And then there was a website, actually. I managed to get on a phone, absolutely no money. To be honest, of course, I had to take some money to be able to even do that.
Right.
So I'm not a bad person, I promise.
Yeah.
I needed to save myself.
What you had to do to survive.
So basically, I managed to enter in this page, Brazilians in London. And that's when the beautiful souls start appearing in my life, the first ones, right? So they really hosted me on their place. They are also in very bad situations, in the same circumstances that I was, and then they offered me to stay even hidden with them in that where they were, kind of, so the landlord would not find out until I could do something about it, you know, until I could leave and get my own room or get a job. And I was still all the time, how do I get a job? I don't have a document. What am I going to do? What do I have to do? Of course, you think of all the options, and I'm not even pretending here. You start thinking first the most easier options, which I really appreciate whatever energy is protecting me there, that I didn't have to do it, because those were coming like this. And then these people really gave me a lot of, these two specifically gave me a lot of support. But of course, got to a point they could not do that anymore, because, you know, they're also taking from their mouths to help me. And then, yes, I saw myself in even worse circumstances, where I saw myself literally having to sleep a couple of nights outside, and, you know, having to eat from where I didn't want to eat from. But you know what? I still somehow, with the pride, with the whole, I don't know, what am I doing here? And everything, I was just like, I just felt at the time, generally speaking, sounds like a little bit of a, come on. I just felt that I had to carry on trying. I had to do it. You know, it was not time yet to give up. And then I kept meeting people again to the same page, and then asking for help, and I was getting more help. So I could give a list of names here. They know who they are. And then basically, of course, whenever I could, and then I could not, like, find the different rooms, sharing a bedroom with 14 people where I would sleep during the day, and share a inflatable bed with someone that would sleep. Now the person would sleep during the day and me in the evening, because we had shifts, running away, afraid of like deportation, because there was not much great support between Brazilians in the same circumstances. So it was always like fear, but I think that fear actually kept my drive as well. And yes, it was very hard, but never hard to the point that I felt like, oh, I want to go. But of course, it gets to a point you're very exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, you keep trying, you go, and you literally one day, I think the story that mostly hurts my mom's heart is, I got a job in a company that they know our circumstances, and they supported us, you know, beneficial for them, I guess. But it was literally like almost in Chelsea, if I can remember well. No, yeah, anyways, it's very South London. And then I was actually in a room in Cricklewood, completely opposite. I was too embarrassed to ask to get a bus for free or money from the boss, and I literally had to work 16 hours and woke all the way up to sleep a couple of hours and be back on the other day so I could ask for some money to get the oyster or the fare for the next day
That's
work.
crazy.
And then to be told a few times like, well, you're not going to be paid, and if you want to complain, go to the police, go to the magistrate. They know if you go and complain, you're going to be taken away, sent back. And then you just, you take it, you cry again, as I said, you be upset, you get frustrated, pick in pieces, and go again. Try to find another job, people to help you. You have to tell the truth, or otherwise you're just going to be running away all the time. But I know I'm very blessed because everyone that I asked for help, in good circumstances or not, they were always with very open heart. They trusted me because how come you trust this Brazilian coming telling me the story that could be true or not?
Yeah.
But I think they felt that on me, on my words, on the way I am. Today, up to this day, I still check on them. Sometimes I do talk. When I go back to UK, I make sure that I meet those people. Until things then start, then it gets the moment that I was exhausted. And then I said, okay, I can't take it anymore. Why am I doing this? I have a family in Brazil. I'm sure if I go back, I will get a job again.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to make the call.
It's time. It's exhausting. I wasn't wanting to give up, but I was like, you know what? I will call mom. But then you get so nervous. What am I going to tell mom? She's going to probably just tell me. She never really told me don't go, but like she would say, you know what? Why you didn't tell me? We could find a way. Anyways. So I decided to say, okay, let me call my mom, and then I will tell her to find some money to get me a ticket because I was missing them, or I don't think that was for me. I was trying to make up the whole story so she didn't feel
that you were in that position. I just want to stop you there for a moment because the story is, what's very, very important in this story is not only your grit and determination, but the actual fact that you had to rely on a group of very, very kind people, including when you were sleeping rough on Hyde Park Court. You hadn't a penny or anything to eat. And it was a homeless man who taught you one of their tricks to go and get some sandwiches that restaurants throw out.
Well, sandwiches are actually proper food.
What's that like?
Was the weirdest thing, and to this day, I think I'm not good with, I'm good with face, not with name, but I guess if for one day I'm walking in London, I would see this person I would recognize because first I didn't speak the language, and the person, I was communicating more gestures than anything. And then, I just felt comfortable, looked the safest person to be next to. And then, you're hungry, making the gestures, and etc. Grabbed my hands and took me to behind this very posh restaurant. I was super scared because for me, I know I just want to say that I probably could have said, come on, it's not that dangerous. In the end, I still had the ticket, and the whole thing, I could just make a decision. But of course, all the time I'm thinking the police would come and then would grab me on the middle of the street and etc. Just wanted to give that part of the story as well. But he took me to the back of this restaurant, and there was a lady as well that kind of gave a sign. And then because, for being posh, even if the food is very fresh, they were throwing it away. They didn't like the homeless people to take it, but this woman, generous enough, she would just give a sign to them. They would quickly get it and go. Oh, I had a beautiful meal, trust me. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Seriously, at least something to eat.
It's incredible. And the shame about this program is that we have such little time. But I'm sure you have so many stories like that. And unless we sat with you, Wally, and really delved into those stories, we're never going to grasp just how bad it was for you.
Of course,
Now, there's somebody who is incredibly important to you.
Oh, God.
Your grandfather, someone you grew up with, and he has Alzheimer's. And anybody who knows about Alzheimer's knows that this deep, dark fog comes and they stare off into the distance, and it gets to the point where they can't recognize you anymore. He's a man you loved dearly. And that day you called your mother and you said to her, Mum, I think I want to come back. I'm missing you, blah, blah, blah. See if we can get some cash together for a ticket. Let me speak to Grandpa. What happened when Grandpa got on the phone?
I need some time now, so otherwise, well, he's no longer with us, right? But yes, my grandfather, I already mentioned, my grandmother, they're my inspiration. They are...
All right.
They are everything that we are as a family, what I am as a person, all this resilience that everyone says I have is because of I've seen them literally, you know, like having to raise a massive family with no money, and I never seen them cry or complain about that. No, not even once. And then, of course, I always looked after them, and I to maybe bring a little bit of funny so I don't get into tears here. I guess I was the favorite of the grandchildren because I was always very close to them, very attached to them all the time after school. They were my life anyways, right? But then my grandmother passed, and then this day specifically, my grandfather was already in a situation where he would have moments of clarity, but those were becoming very rare, you know, and the clarity sometimes would not even be very realistic. So even the calls that I was managing to have at the time, he never really recognized me. My mom, for him, was his daughter. Anyways, so yes, I called my mom saying, okay, I miss you. We have to find, I mean, before telling her that, I said, Mom, let me speak to grandfather.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll help you. So
Sorry.
Grandpa gets on the phone.
Yeah. Not gets on the phone.
Well,
she turns.
she puts his face on the phone, and he's staring off into the distance. He's not going to focus on the phone, is he?
He's just literally, like, he usually just looked side. No matter how much you are in front of him, kind of his eyes would
wander
side.
off.
Yeah. And then, of course, I said that out of a joke because, okay, then I used that as an excuse for my mom to feel like, yeah, he missed his grandfather. And I said, Grandpa, you think it's the time? You think you want me to come back? Do you miss me? And then he had this moment of clarity. He said, no, it's not your time yet.
And that is an incredible thing.
And then, of course,
And then he wondered again.
Yeah, and then my mom, of course, was like, what was this, you know? And then she was happy but confused, and I was just a little bit in shock. I didn't know really, I don't like to be like this. But that for me was where everything completely changed, because the exhaustion I had, it just became so powerful on the wanting to make it happen, you know, to say, okay, that's what you needed. Because I wasn't asking for a sign. I wasn't asking for a reason to stay. I was ready to go. I just finding the excuses to really tell Mom so she wouldn't be that worried. Yeah, so that was literally why I stayed. And
then everything changed.
And I know he's my guardian angel with my grandmother, if that's a thing. I know they are. Sorry.
No, don't apologize at all. Grandparents are incredibly special people.
Yes, they are. I miss them dearly. It's kind of, I can't explain. You know, for me, every time I'm down, I just grab to those memories and to the picture I shared with you. That picture for me is my everything. Yeah. The only thing I have left.